Um, Again, another great day and great presenters. So let's hope I can keep the candle lit. But welcome to AP Automation and MetaViewer, walking through how it is that we integrate and offer you the currency of time when you layer us on with your Dynamics 365 FO ERP. So I always like to start off just with a quick overview of how AP automation really works. It's just our chance to talk to potential customers about the idea of, bringing in those invoices, having them go through. Most things are electronic, as you see on the bottom, but you know, there's still the odd snail mail that comes in, and so the paper trail that comes in, we can scan that, go through an OCR, and then just put it into our intelligent recognition platform so that we can, understand what it is that we've scanned, what it is that document is, and where it needs to go. So after it goes through the intelligent recognition, and we've been able to pull out extract all the data, fill out the various forms, then we either realize that it's matching a PO that's in the system, and it goes through GL coding for approval, over to approval, or we need to reconcile. Maybe we've only been charged for 2/3 of an order, and so we need to then go forward and reconcile, determine what it is that is off, so that it's just another checks and balances, if you will, to be able to then push it into F&O and allow it to go in and pull the data that needs to be extracted from F&O. Now, MetaViewer sits on just a standard browser interface, so it allows you to be able to access it from your phone, your computer. You can be at the hockey rink if you want, you can be at the swimming pool, or you can be just in your basement working away at your desk. We do also have the capability now to do payments. And so if on top of being able to just automate the invoicing, the approval process, then being able to push that out and make sure that the vendors are being paid and try to see if we, get in front of those early discounts. If you're paying within the first 15 days, see how much money we can try to save. Another just offering that we have. So just trying to find more and more ways upstream and downstream to continue to offer automation to all of our current customers and those that we haven't had the privilege of meeting yet. So you kind of see how the documents made its way through here, and we're now at that point where everyone's happy. We have a documentation being stored within MetaViewer, and then it's being sent fully executed on into F&O. But let's have a look and maybe just jump into a demo and see what it looks like. We are really fine. I mean, we offer AP automation, so we're in every industry, but we've really doubled down on farming and agriculture, manufacturing, distribution, and retail and wholesale. Just really find that our methodology of automation aligns the best with those in particular verticals. And so I'm just going to show you this overview of the product. We log in, and we're just like any software application. You can see that it's roles driven. So it's all just kind of synonymous with the role that may be using. Now, this is my demo environment. So I do like to show in this user a little bit more kind of capabilities and breadth of ability. So as it's also the dashboard right now, stay tuned for an upcoming dashboard, but it allows you to log in and see right away what it is that needs action and what it doesn't. So as those invoices come in, we can watch that email box, and then on an hourly or by daily basis, depending on however you set it up, we then upload everything from that inbox into a MetaViewer. And so we're off to the homepage. And so, I'm just highlighting here the idea of the payment information and how that can come back. We're looking at our, searches, so we can see, we want to make sure that it's a zero. We don't want to see a lot of things that are in process. We want it to come in, move its way through the cycle, and come out to the other side. So why don't we jump into the waiting for payments section, and we can see, okay, which ones are still waiting for payments. So we're going to, a company we all know well, and Fabricant. And so we can go in, and then we can just make sure, like, is the invoice date, invoice number, do you have a PO number? And just make sure that the intelligent recognition, our AI tool, has been able to bring everything and, extract that data as we need it. And so here, we just want to make sure that everything's aligned, to make sure that all the data is extracted, but also that the dollar value at the bottom is accurate. We want to see, like, does each line item correlate to the PO? But if everything ties out and it's a perfect match, then, we can just go and see if we're waiting for payments. Doesn't look like there's any payments that have come in. And so then, if you want, though, you can use the search capabilities in order to go and search for any one of these fields that have been filled in. So now let's go back and we'll go to AP preparation, because here it was a perfect match and it all tied out, so we were able to push it away. So the invoices come in and it's exceeded all the checks and balances over on the right-hand side. By seeing this area on the right-hand side and making sure, it gives us that audit trail, just so we know what's occurred until it got to this point. We can see that the invoice number and the date, as well as the PO number, it just highlights all the areas where the extraction has occurred. And then as well on the left-hand side, you'll see the little icons with the magnifying glass. That shows you where the data extraction is leading to. If there is a mistake there, you can always go and train that. And it's just, you got to train the IR sometimes in order to be able to recognize some of the vendors and make sure it's pulling the data appropriately. So, it looks like here we might have gotten the different wiring. And so, when we look at the invoice and we see 171, but when we see here, we have 319 on the top line, but then 120 and 51, realistically, that's the 171. So here we can adjust the quantity of that, or we can just delete the line item, knowing that it then gets saved in the ERP and we're waiting to get that appropriate payment or invoice for that area. So again, just re-highlighting that 319 that do exist, there will be another invoice that comes there. So let's switch gears and look at an invoice that, it doesn't fully work off the first uptake of that data. So must have too many programs running. So here we can pull up, we see this is a non-PO invoice, and we extracted all the data. You can see it again in yellow. So we go to code and reconcile, and it's going to go in, it's going to communicate the vendor card, and it's going to pull back out, the record that we have thumbprinted in with that vendor. So we can see the main account numbers there, what business unit the approver has in order to be able to go through and approve it. We can also highlight the department. So if you wanted to search on department, or you wanted to search potentially on business unit, it gives you multiple different facets or abilities to look at things up different ways. But really, it's like the parameters of the document which are saved, so that we know who the default approvers are. And it all just, that's what helps create that automation throughout the process. Generally, when it comes to the approval codes, you tell us what codes you want, because every company does it differently. And so by us looking at those approver codes, it does make it that much more automated and that much quicker for you, hence dealing in the currency of time. So you can also just start typing in. With the smart search box, it does allow it to match what's already in the system. So it makes it quicker to even pull up vendors or accounts, for example. So here we have it all coded. We hit coded, and then it's going to push it out and make sure see what the parameters are around the vendor in the document. And we know now that approver 1 is department 100. But if you wanted that to change, if you want the approver sequence to change, there is manual click-throughs that you can add. We can build in the automated rules so you don't even ever have to think about it. You just click and go. There is the ability to have thresholds too, if you wanted to look at dollar thresholds, or if you wanted to set up rules based on a particular vendor, you can create those different workflows and go ahead. So we get an email in our audit trail, so it does indicate that it's been approved. It's also a way of letting the individual know that there's three payables that are overdue, and then what's been approved or what needs to be approved. So if there are no more approvers, it just goes back to the AP clerk and allows them to then move it on to the next stage. But let's log into Joe and see what it looks like. So as we look here, we just make sure that everything's aligned, make sure that all your checks and balances are in order. The final approval step, this is before it goes into your ERP. So we force you to take that time just to confirm one last time that everything is aligned and the way that you thought it would be. So again, on the right, it's your audit trail. On the left is all your different areas. You can go to other, and if you need to pick a different workflow and push it back or send it back. But if there's nothing wrong, you can route it to the next approver or push it back. So if we put it to the next approver, let's go to final review as the AP user. There's rejected payables if you do reject it. But you can choose anything here that you're looking for. And so I pause just so we're going to take in a moment. To have all of this on one screen gives you the capability of not having to flip back and forth in screens. It gives you that much more capability in a smaller surface area. So let's just export this to the ERP now. And now it goes to the Microsoft Web Service, and then they pull that data in, and it creates that transaction in D365. So if I just go back to my homepage now, it looks like waiting the payments up to 7. We did push over purchase order invoice and a non-PO invoice. So now as we wait for that payment information to come back from D365, you can go to, if you look at searching, you can go to find payables, and you can search for anything. I mean, look at it's almost overwhelming because there's so many options of ways that you could search for different documentation. We were a document management company before we added the AP capabilities, 20 some years ago. And so it's still part of our core and still something that we flourish in as well. So offering both the document management side as well as the AP automation side. I mean, you can search by GL, item number, even, date ranges, and then you pull up the search results. And if it was only a single document, you go right to the invoice. But when there's a few that you could choose from, it does highlight what it is your options are. And then you just pull them all out to an Excel spreadsheet if you want to really, roll up your sleeves and get into it and start doing some more analysis. Or you can just download as one large PDF and send that over to an auditor so that they can dig through and look at the audit trails with all the notes, just to help make sure you're always staying compliant and staying in front of, what could come up. And so, again, 15 minutes always seems like it's so much time, but it flies by. And so just to reiterate, some of the other areas that come with a MetaFile purchase is, the ability to have your expense reports, requisitions, being able to do batch approvals, save time. The journal entry is huge, being able to write those notes and then have them stored. I mean, PDF splitting, if you're getting invoices that have multiple, or PDFs that have multiple invoices on them, being able to split them out as the invoice number changes, just to create that much more automation and not having to manually do it and then rescan or re-upload. This all happens naturally within the cycle. We built in the AI model about 5 years ago, and we're really starting to see some incredible returns on just its capability of extracting data. And then the different ways we can extract the data, not just PDFs, but through packing slips or barcodes, and just the different facets that are needed in order to be able to pull that data into the system. Not only are we AP management, but we also offer the document management. And really, what's one of our biggest value propositions, and sometimes a bit of a hindrance because it takes a little bit more time. It's just the capability and ability to be flexible and to contour the solution and the offering to whatever it is that our customers need. So no matter is what you're looking for, or if you have any questions, please take the time, send an email, send give me a call, and I'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about MetaViewer and where we're going in the future and where we are today. Thanks very much. Amy, back to you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you so much for wrapping up Finance Demo Day, and thank you all for attending. Hopefully, you found how some of these or all of these solutions can help streamline, automate, take away those manual processes, make your lives easier, your jobs easier. So, again, we will be sending out the recording to all those that registered and/or attended, and we will be sending that in the next day or so. So, stay tuned for that. But thank you so much for wrapping up our finance demo day, Eric. And thank you so much to everyone for being here with us today. We appreciate it. Have a great day.